Hi guys, it's Dakota. I hope everybody's doing well today. It is chilly outside and therefore it is really chilly in the witch cottage. It's 50 degrees out there. I forgot to turn the heater on, so it would take a while for it to get warmed up, and I wanted to get this video made, so I decided to come up here in the devotion room. The downstairs of our house is a little chilly. You know, heat rises. I do have the heaters on. Sorry, I'm a summer girl. I do not like the cold. Now, my husband is from Michigan, and so his thing is he hates summer. He prefers cold weather. It's fresh, it's crisp, it's cool. That's what he says. And he says, well, the thing with the cold weather is you can always bundle up. You can always, put on an extra sweater, put on a jacket, put on a hat, whatever. And I agree. Yes, you can. You can absolutely you can do that, and that will help get you warm. My thing with that is, well, then if you have to do all that to get warm, why don't you just like the summer where it's already warm and then you don't have to worry about that? Oh, but you can't just when you're hot, you can't just take off all your clothes. And I get that too. But for me, winter feels it's claustrophobic. It's claustrophobic in a lot of ways. So, here I am, and I just got done saying it's chilly, but instead of putting on a long sleeve shirt, which I would be fine, or putting on a little sweater, I would be fine downstairs. But I don't like it. I don't like feeling, it makes me feel claustrophobic. I don't like jackets. I don't own one. My jacket here is a hoodie. That is what my jacket is. I wear a hoodie because it's kind of big and bulky. It's not lined. It's just a regular old hoodie. But I got like an extra size larger. And I will wear a long sleeve shirt occasionally, but I just throw the hoodie on. All I'm doing is going from the house to the car, from the car to work. I'm not going to hang out outside. I don't do that. So I don't own a coat. I do own, a little hat. It's real cute. It's got little ears, kitty cat ears on it. Um, and I've got some gloves, but I mean, by the time you do all of that, you could have already been in the car with the heater on. So I don't know. I feel very claustrophobic, and so that is one thing. If it's going to be cold out, I'd rather just stay in the house and be comfortable in my clothes. So I'm sorry. I keep the heater on, the fire going. I mean, it's just the way I am. So anyway, here I am upstairs. All right. So today's subject, get on with it, Dakota. I want to talk about this is a subject, you can tell by the title of the video. This is a subject that we get asked almost on a daily basis at the store. Something to this effect, and it has to do with protection. And today we're talking about warding, which is a type of protection magic, really. If you think about it, it's a type of protection magic. It's a type of it's about setting boundaries, and to keep yourself safe, to keep your home safe, that sort of thing. And so some of the questions and the things that we get asked at the store a lot is, people feel this energy within their home that is disruptive. It's not serving of their highest good. It feels kind of negative. It's kind of disruptive, and sometimes things can happen. Something fell off a shelf, or they heard footsteps, or they heard something in the wall. Those types of things. And so people that are not educated in this area, or are new to a newfound spirituality, or a new like mind way of thinking, that sort of thing, and they're new to it. They don't quite understand what that is. And so they relate it to something evil, like there must be an evil spirit in the house. Oh, I saw a shadow, or my child saw a figure. And I'm not here to argue that point, because I'm sure they did. I am 100% sure that they did. I see spirit all the time. I see apparition all the time. Shadow figures. I'm very clairaudient. I hear talking all the time, and no, it's not just myself. um, but here's the thing that I notice is when that happens, and if you don't have the the education behind it, and the information that will help with it, if you don't have that information, then it can be kind of scary, and people have fears, and they get afraid. But here's the problem, and this is how I feel. Remember, my videos are all about me, unless I say otherwise. This is me and my thoughts and my opinions. Um, for me, when you have a fear of something, that is the perfect food for something that is an energy that is causing a chaos, an energy that is causing sort of this negative feeling or this heavy feeling or this activity in the home. So we fear it. We're afraid of it because we don't know what it is. It's scary, and that energy loves that. That's their food. That food. Fear is the food. And what happens when we eat? We grow. We get bigger. So we want to avoid that. And one of the ways that we can do that is to, first of all, like I said, warding is about protection magic, I guess, if you will, for a lack of better words. It is about setting boundaries. It is about before you walk out of your house, whether you're going to work or you're going to school or you're going to the grocery store, the mall, wherever it is that you're going, you want to make sure that, you should set some boundaries. You should have this bubble of protection where you just visualize yourself in a bubble. And everybody knows how to visualize. There's a ton of classes on it, but it's a very simple thing. I mean, I could tell you right now to just close your eyes and visualize the smell of an orange. That you can see the orange, just by it's memory. And so a lot of people there's a lot of different ideas and classes and suggestions on your own personal boundaries, how you put that protection bubble. Some say it's a white light, it's a white bubble around you, or maybe it's a violet bubble, or whatever you need it to be, whatever it feels like to you. My bubble, when I put a bubble around me, mine is iridescent like a bubble. And I think that's why it's iridescent, is because when I was first learning about that, um, about shielding, which is a little bit different, but putting that boundary up, putting yourself in this bubble, um, as soon as they said bubble, I thought of bubbles, that you blowing bubbles, and they're iridescent. And so my bubble is iridescent. And the thing is you put yourself inside the bubble. So, the bubble surrounds you, including underneath your feet. So you are within the bubble. It can be any color that you want. And, and it can be any kind of material that you want it to be. Truly, it truly can. You just have to know what feels right for you and what color you want it to be. I know I have a friend who puts up a bubble of a forest around her, thick, lush forest, or full of briars and prickly plants and stuff. And that is her barrier. That is her bubble. So it can be pretty much anything that you want. Now, shielding is something else. I really don't want to get into that right now. It's a little bit different, just slightly, slightly different with the shielding, in my opinion. So, so that's the first thing. Like when you go anywhere, you need to have a bubble, because even if you're doing something as simple as just walking out to the mailbox, and the neighbor comes out, or um, who knows, maybe the mailman, when he put the mail in your box, it was they were in a really bad mood, or they were having something going on, and they've touched your mailbox and they've touched your mail. And I know that sounds really like, come on, but if you think about it, it's true, right? That's how DNA is spread. We touch things. As soon as you touch it, boom, your energy is on it. So we like to keep ourselves protected. All right. So there is a thing called warding, and which again, it's just protection magic. So, how do we ward our house? How do we protect our house? And, what is going on? Well, we do, and I just talked about this recently about using sage to cleanse your house. There's several products you can use, an incense. You can grow your own herbs in your garden and use herbs. Um, and going around your house and you know lighting your whatever it is, whether it's your incense. I like this, by the way. Lighting your incense or your sage stick or whatever it is, and just going through your house, each room, and perhaps before you started doing that, um, coming up with either a chant or an intention. What is it that you're doing? What is the end result? So the end result, and some people like to use a feather, some people like to use their hand. Sometimes I just walk around and I just do a little ziggly ziggly, just a little thing around the house. Um, and you always want to make sure you have a door open or a window cracked, or else you're just chasing the energy around the house. So, but that's all it is. It's just going around and with positive intention, and just asking, or however you want to word it, and just saying, that all energy, and this is very simple. Any and all energy that does not serve the highest good of this home is now removed and banished forever. Boom, and something similar to that. Let me put this down. Be right back. So, yeah, so you can do that to cleanse your house, go through the entire house. And, this is not a video on how to cleanse either. Everybody has their own way of doing that. So, but it's just, what we're doing is we're just taking, the sacred herbs or the sacred smoke, we're using that, and we're just sort of chasing it out a door, out the window. We're removing that energy that is not serving our highest good. Now, that being said, one of the things that you have to remember when we do that, like when you do that, and that would be your first place, that's where you're going to want to start before you start doing this warding that I'm going to talk about. You want to cleanse the energy out of your house that is not serving. And there's a couple things I want to talk about first. But the first thing is when you do that, stop and think. Because there might be something in your house. Maybe you do work with specific a specific spirit, or the energy of deity, or the energy of whatever, and you've created your sacred space. It's your magic space, and so it in itself is going to have its own energy. When you start cleansing out that energy, you want to be careful, because you might, depending on your words, choose your words very, very wisely, because you could be banishing them as well. And you might want to think about some of those spirits and stuff that are there. They may not, that are for your good, that you want to keep there, may not like that. They may not like sage if you're using sage. They may not like lavender if you're using a lavender, or whatever it is that you're using. They may not like that. And so in that case, you need to maybe put them in the closet, or, do something so that you're not removing the energy from that space, if that makes sense. Um, the other thing with doing that is, I have, of course, as you know, I work with the ancestors, and I prefer their presence whenever, and other spirits, if they come with goodwill, good intention only. um, yes, we have that agreement. And but so what I do if I'm going to cleanse my home, which I rarely do, I rarely need to cleanse my home. This goes on with this video. We're gonna get there. But I don't want to remove them. I don't want to remove, my great ancestor. I don't want to remove their energy. It's about choosing those words wisely. And again, maybe great grandmother, maybe grandmother, maybe mother, maybe friend, whoever it is that you want to keep that spirit within. You feel safe with that spirit. That's your guardian spirit. They may not enjoy the smoke. They may not enjoy spritzes. We also have, spritzes that we make, and I sell spritzes in the store for protection and different things. So you could just go and spritz your area if you want to do that. But they may not like that scent. This is a sandalwood. This is actually what I use on my altar, which is right there. When I do my cleansing, when I clean my altar, I take everything off, and it gets cleansed with, this is a sandalwood and and something else cleanser that I use. I spritz it on my altar and then wipe it down, and then I cleanse all of my things with the damp towel. I just wipe everything off. Okay, so you want to make sure that when you're doing your cleansing that you're not removing energies that you actually want to remain in your house. So you have to think about that. So okay, so here we go. I got my notes here so that I don't forget anything and I don't get too far off. We're already almost 20 minutes into this and I'm just yapping as usual. All right. So gridding. And I'm going to talk about my house. Okay. I'm going to talk about my house because it'll just be easier. So, we have a lot of land, and you can grid, which means the four corners of your property. A property has four corners. So if this is your property, it has four corners. And if this is your house, even if your house has an addition to it, okay, even if your house has an addition to it, you could always grid, which is what I do, the cardinal directions. So I grid with east, south, west, and north. That is how I grid. So if the four corners of my house or my property sit like this, but east is right here, that is where I grid. So east would be here, not on the corner. I will grid east, south, west, and north. If by chance this is east, then it's perfect. You can just grid the four corners. That is if you want to grid with the cardinal directions. Here is the thing. You don't have to. You don't have to grid with the four corners of the property. You don't. You can also grid the four corners of your house, like I said, if you want. But it does not have to be in cardinal directions. What if you live in an apartment and you can't do anything outdoors, right? So grid the four corners of your house. Each corner of your house as close to the cardinals if you want, or you don't have to, just the four corners of your house. Because what happens is it creates this flow of energy. It creates this grid line. If you remember when I did the element series, you can go back and look. When I did the elemental series, I believe it was the last video. Remember, I had four candles, the colors of the directions, and then I took a string, a thread, and I wrapped it around east. I brought it over to south. I wrapped south, brought it over to west, wrapped west, brought it back over, and brought it back over to east. So that what I did there was I tied the energy of all four corners together so that it created this energetic flow. So, well, what do we grid the four corners with? You can grid it with stones. What stones? Black tourmaline. You can use obsidian. Gold tiger's eye is a really good stone. You can use, I've got some of the ones here. You can use hematite. Just remember that hematite after a while can probably rust because it is a type of metal material. So it can rust, but it's an excellent stone for grounding and for protection magic. One of the reasons is because if you've ever seen a tumbled hematite, it kind of has a mirrored shine to it. So it's really good for grounding. That's one of its energies. It's good for grounding, so it helps to keep you grounded. It is a protective stone, so it's good for protection, but that mirrored face helps any energy that comes reflects off and goes back. So hematite is a good thing. I also, while we're on that, I want to talk about mirror magic. Mirror magic is great. Well, let me go back. Okay, so what do you do with the stones? You bury them. Make sure that you bury them if you're putting them outside. The reason why is because critters love stones. Uh, they love shiny stones. The Fae love stones. So what you're going to do on the four corners of your property is you're just going to, I dig about a 6-inch. You know, I work from threes, so I'll dig about a 6-inch. It's not about that big. It's not big. I just dig a little 6-inch hole. You can put the stone in there. Say what you need to say, cover it up, boom, you're done. You can also, with that stone, write a petition if you're doing it on the cardinals. You know, element of the east, air, blah, 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 protect, however, blow away, whatever it is that you want to say. Put your petition in there. Put the stone on top of the petition. Will the petition disintegrate after a while? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. The earth has absorbed it. It's good as long as make sure it's environmentally friendly. All right. This is one of my favorite things for gridding. I use herbs, and I will dig my hole, and I like to use protective herbs. So this is my blend of sage. It has cedar. It has rosemary in it, which is a really excellent stone for protection. Any herb that is for protection is really good. Now, I like to also add poisonous herbs, poisonous mushroom, an herb that would be a toxic herb. That way, if by chance something did break the barrier, if by chance, well, I've got toxic poisonous herbs as part of my grid, or as part of my ward. But please, please understand that they're toxic, they're poisonous. We don't want the children getting to them. We don't want the pets to get to them. I dig a deep 6-inch hole. If I do a petition, I've written the petition, I put that in. I sprinkle the herbs on top of the petition. Maybe I put the stone on top of the herbs and bury it. Other things that you can use, um, other things that you can use are the old antique railroad spikes. You can use those. You can also use, these are coffin nails. That's what they're called, coffin nails. They're just oh, you might be able to see it. It's a square-headed nail. It's a square-headed nail. Don't go dig up coffins for nails. um, these have been treated and they have been treated for protection. Take your nail after you bury your stuff, drive it in the ground. If you're afraid something might get to it, bury it in your hole if you want to. Same thing with the spike, with the railroad spike. So you're going to do that on the 4 corners of the property line, or the 4 corners of your house, or the 4 cardinal directions if you prefer to do that. Now, one of the things also that I love doing when I'm doing that, like I don't just stick it in and walk away, right? I will say a little, blessing, a little, I'm reaching out to that particular element because I do work with cardinal directions, as you know. And so if I put it in, let's say the direction of east, and I've put all my stuff in the hole and I've buried it, and I say a little thing to, the guardians of the east, watchtowers of the east. And one of my teachers a while ago when I was learning, and I asked what exactly is the watchtower? Like, what is the watchtower? And the visual that he gave me was, visualize a tower that connects through the realms, through the upper realm, middle, and the lower realms. It's a tower. So for me, it is a tower in which a guardian might climb up and look out over the land, to make sure that there's no negative anything coming your way. So I love working with the watchtowers for that reason. I might call the watchtowers the guardians of the watchtower, of whichever element it is, and I feel like it gives them this height, because of the visualization that I have. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just saying that is my visualization, and so that brings in an extra bit of divine protective power. Yeah. So, the other thing that you can do is, besides your stones, there are, I'm sure you've heard of the term witch bottles, and I'm not going to go into the history of witch bottles, but there is history about witch bottles. And in fact, they, over the years, they have, and the centuries, they have found, as they've done excavations and they're digging up and stuff, bottles, witch bottles is what they call them. And, it's typically, I don't have any right here, but I'll just use this as an example. So, it would just be a bottle, and it might be filled with all kinds of icky things, right? So it could be filled with, nails and broken glass and some other things that would be harmful if you were to step on it. Let's just go there, okay? And then they bury the witch bottles in the ground. Same thing, 4 corners. Witch bottles typically were buried under a porch or right next to your front door, kind of thing. And again, I'm not going to get into the history of the witch bottles today, maybe later. One of one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite things to do, in addition to, okay, so I have wards. I have wards, and I'm not going to go over all my wards with you, but my property is warded and my house is warded, as is my store. And one of the things that I really, really love to add is mirrors. Mirror magic is so cool. It's kind of like that hematite I just mentioned to you. You can hang a mirror on your door, on the threshold of your door, above your front door, with the reflective part facing out. So this would have to be on the outside of your door, like on your porch, somewhere on your porch. Maybe if you have poles on your porch, it could be on a pole. You can put them right on the ground, shining out, reflective side out. I like to use hand mirrors. You can get them really cheap at the dollar store. They're $1. Cheap old hand mirror. Who cares if it's pretty or not? You're not going to see it. It's going to be halfway buried. The reason I like the hand mirrors is because the hand part of the mirror sticks down into the earth, okay? And then the reflective part is out. So that is part of your, what comes to you reflects right back to that person. But what I really love about the mirrors is on the back of the mirror. So on the back of the mirror, you can do sigils. You can draw any kind of uh, protection, sigil, symbol, word, any type of thing that you want, you can put on the back of that mirror. So if this was the shiny part, okay, this is the part that you look at yourself with. The shiny part is going to be facing away from your property. But on the back of that mirror, you will have drawn your sigil. Okay, maybe you will have drawn your sigil, whatever sigil that was, whatever you needed. It could be as simple as a pentagram if you want. Draw that on the back of your mirror. Okay, and so that works the same way, and I really like that because it really keeps that energy at bay. Um, I really like that. Now, the other thing, one of the things with using the iron, I'm going to say this. If you're going to use the rusty nails or you're going to use the spikes, and you believe in fairy or the fae energy at least, remember that they do not like any kind of metal, particularly iron, alloy. They don't like metal. Period. That's the bottom line. They really, really don't like it, and it does cause them harm. So if you're going to put your metal, in your flower garden, you may not have a whole lot of luck with your flowers. All right. So those kind of things. You always need to be doing your research. So think about that before you do put those metal items in your garden. People have asked me about coins because for offerings, excuse me, I have put pennies and dimes in silver dimes in my gardens, in my offering areas, and and I am going to say this. I don't have the best luck with my flower gardens. To be quite honest with you, I don't. Interesting. Maybe next time I will put them in a dish instead of just, in a little bowl instead of putting them in the ground. That's something I'm going to think about. I haven't done it in a while. I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, so be careful with that. The other thing that you can do, which is really kind of fun, especially if you have like, this fantasy garden or something like that. If you remember, churches had gargoyles. They had gargoyles at the top of the church of the building. And the gargoyles were used for protection. They were used for protection because that would keep any evil thing away, because the gargoyle would scare it away and it would keep it away. And I'm sure there's some other religious memorabilia that goes along with that, some religious history that goes along with that. But the bottom line is they were used to keep evil spirits and evil energy, negative energy away from the church. So if you have the little gargoyles in your garden or on your porch or by your front door or something like that, you can always enchant them. Um, use an oil, a protection oil, draw a sigil on the bottom, do spell work for them. Uh, hang something. Hangs over the this could hang over your door, and you could do something on the back of it, because it's going to be, there's this little fuzz, because there could be something on the back, right? There could be something on the back of this. So this is a wall plaque, and so it's going to hang, and so no one will know what is on the back of that, because it's going to be hanging um, wherever you want. Could be a front door, back door, could be a porch, it could be wherever you want it to be. Here's the thing with gridding and the property, with setting these boundaries. So, and that is that you're doing that to keep something out, right? This is what I was going to tell you in the beginning when I said cleansing the house, cleansing your space, your personal space. When you only grid your property, you're keeping something out, right? But it's also keeping something in. You have to remember that. It keeps things in as well. That is why, to me, I like to cleanse out the energy that is not serving my highest good, baneful energy, energy that just is not needed. It's just not serving. I may cover things that I feel may not need it. Perhaps my devotional altar. Um, I don't want that energy removed. I do not want it removed. So I will cover that. And, and like, up here, I've got, I don't know, what was the last count? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 altars up here. Small, some are small, and some are just like altars of appreciation and memory. Others are my working altars. But my working altar, I'm sorry. No, 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 no. I'm not removing any kind of energy from there. It is well taken care of, trust me. My ancestor altar, my gosh, no. No, I'm not removing the energies from my ancestor altar. So, I'm going to make sure that when I do a cleansing, anything that I don't want removed from this house, I'm going to make sure that it's covered, or that it itself has its own grid area, that isn't, I don't want those energies removed. Cleansing my house first, then I'm cleansing my property, and then I am setting the boundaries. Now I feel good. Now I feel good. The thing with the boundaries are, and there's other things that you can do for setting boundaries. Salt is one, vinegar. There's black destroyer oil. There's red brick dust. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but even eggshell, people make it into like a chalk, and they just draw lines across their threshold or their window sills. I've even known people to do things inside their fireplace, because it's a portal, it's open. And but the thing is some of those things are temporary, right? If you go out and let's just say let me think, don't salt your grass. You're going to kill your grass. Don't salt your gardens. You're going to kill your gardens. You're not going to salt that type of thing. But let's just say that you went out and let's use red brick dust, because it's not as it's more environmentally friendly. So we're going to use red brick dust, and we're going to just sprinkle it across the threshold to, keep that energy out. But we have a rainstorm. It rains. Washes all that energy, it washes the brick dust. Same thing with your washes, your oils, your waters, anything that you put outdoors. Um, that's just going to wash away. That is temporary. Even in the house, when you say just temporary, even in the house, if you go around your window sills and you do a vinegar wash around your windows or some sort of protective thing around your windows, that's temporary. And that's why a lot of times you will see people that have uh, different amulets and talismans in their windows. So I have in most of my windows, and almost every single one of my doors has a bell or a protective charm on it. The windows have bells, they have some sort of thing hanging, on the windowsill. If not, if it's not appropriate, it would be above the windows, the door frame or the windowsill frame, above the window. Like if you don't want someone to see, this thing dangling from your window, what is that? Um, there's ways that you can uh, have those things over your doors and over your windows, because those act as little portals, if you're not thinking about it. Open a door, every time you open that door, something can come in or out. So we do keep those around our doors and our windows. And like I said, almost every single one of the doors in my house, my cupboards everywhere, there's something hanging on the handle somewhere, and every window just about has everything, has something hanging on it as well. Um, and those things that are hanging, those have all been charged with an energy, with a protective energy. I've asked them to do something. The problem is those things need to be recharged after a while. They're temporary. Even though I know that there's a lot of thought process on your property wards are permanent, that is true to a degree. However, I still think that they need to be just sort of revamped, recharged, reconsecrated, gratituded, something like that. So there might be a time, usually I do it once a year, sometimes twice a year. And if you always just remember, like the first of the year, that is when you do it. It's very easy to remember at that point. Now, if you live in an area where it's already snowed, it might be a little difficult to do. So you might have to choose another time to do it. Maybe summer solstice, maybe at a new moon or a dark moon or a full moon or whatever. It's still light outside, so that's the day you do it. Or you just put it on your calendar so that you don't forget. But every so often, you're going to all of a sudden, and like I know right now, I know that the wards are, it's time. The wards need to be done. And so that's going to be happening. And I know this because if you remember when I did the video on the retrograde, Mercury retrograde candle, and I told you, this is energy. I'm not really into Mercury retrograde energy. And I'm still not. I don't buy into it 100%. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, because I know that it does. We had all kinds of electrical issues, lights flashing on and off, da, da, da. But the thing is it's still happening, and not just in one place, like not just in one place. The energy is just a little weird. It's just a little weird right now. And so I don't know if COVID has something to do with that. And just the world is in a state, the world is in a state right now. And I just believe it's just all of this energy is coming together, and it's just swirling, even though we're not all on the same page. I think it's still trying to connect with each other. So I am going to take care of my wards, and I'm going to make sure that everything is refreshed. If that means that I have to go around and redig, my items up and put fresh herbs down and fresh stone, or whatever. Um, they're permanent, but they still need to be taken care of. They still need to be taken care of. You're asking them to do something. If they're doing it, reward them with a bath, so to speak. Uh, give them something. Give them some new umph. Um, and I say that, and as I say that, I have mentioned this before in classes, that one of the ways that we cleanse and charge our crystals, especially stones that, I don't know, it's just, I was using it for this, or it just doesn't seem to have the umph that it used to have for whatever reason. And I've cleansed it, and I've, charged it under the moon, and it's still kind of weird. Is we will tell people, well, find an area that where exactly where it is, mark it so you know where it is. Dig your hole, bury your stone on a full moon, bury it, leave it until the next full moon, and then dig it up. Because the earth's energy, the earth is healing. She's a healer. Mother Earth is a healer. So, yeah, the thing with my wards that are on the property, the wards that are in the ground around my house, around my shop, etc., around the properties, um, yeah, I do believe that to a degree. However, I still want to take care of it. The other thing that's really cool is, like, my railroad spikes. Well, I'm not necessarily saying mine. What I'm saying is, you can do sigils on those as well. So anything that you can do a sigil on, a power symbol, anything you want. Uh, if you have a way to do that, it can be paint, it can be nail polish, it can be whatever you want to draw your sigil with. Is a really good thing to do. Okay, so, like, this is almost an hour-long video. I don't know. I might have to redo this because it's so long. I hope not. Anyway, okay. So that is it. Maybe I'll take some out. I don't know. Well, you know me. I don't know how to edit. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I hope you enjoyed that. So the thing is, just think about what you're doing when you're doing it. Think about what you're doing when you're doing it. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to set that boundary? Because once that boundary's set, it's set. Just like I said, you build a fence to keep. If you think of the old castles, where they had the drawbridge, the enemy's coming, so they would pull the drawbridge up. That kept the enemy out, but guess what? Everybody that was in, it kept them in as well. So think about that. Think about that when you're doing your cleansing. Do you really want to cleanse your house of all this energy, and you've got your special sacred space with your magic area, your devotional area, or whatever area that you feel most sacred in? I'm not getting rid of that energy. Sorry. I'm certainly not getting rid of my ancestor energy. Um, and so those are really, really important things to think about when you go to do this. If you have any questions, um, maybe I should do this in a two-part. I don't know. I'll listen to this because I've been going for so long now. But I think you get the point, actually. I really do think you get the point of how you do it. And but anyway, if you're confused because I rambled, please leave me a comment down below. Hey, I'm over 300. Woo! It took me 2 years. I really don't promote my channel very much. I don't post it on my Facebook page. My customers, only a few, handful of customers that I give it to. So it's just been word of mouth. And, and when I saw that the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, I got 300. I was like just really tickled, and I'm really excited. It just means so much. It just means so much to me. No, I don't get paid. I don't want to get paid. I'm not doing all of that stuff with YouTube. I'm just doing this because uh, I think that it's a good idea to I wish that I had somebody when I was growing into my witch that could have helped me besides books. Books are great, they're fantastic, but sometimes you need that mentor to kind of, help you hold your hand and sort of guide you and lead you and clear things up for you. So if I've done that for anybody, I feel, I'm just grateful. And yeah, so speaking of that, we're going to be starting 2022. I just posted it today on the Facebook page, The Peddler and the Crow. If you're local and you're interested in the Witchcraft 101 class, that's going to be starting up 2022. So the information is on the page. You can go on there and look and see what that's all about. In the meantime, man, have a great week. See you guys soon. Thanks for watching. I do really appreciate it. Subscribe, share. Maybe, maybe I'll get 400. It's fun. It's kind of exciting. Anyway, it's fun. All right, guys. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye. Love you. Mwah. Okay.